Take a look at this, folks. Last year, the Panthers won the NFC South with a 12-4 record, but lost to the 49ers in the divisional playoffs. Aaron Schatz of Football Outsiders, writing for ESPN.com, says the Carolina Panthers are the overwhelming favorites, as you can see, 30%, to go from first to worst in their division. Colts, Bengals, Eagles, Packers following them. Stephen A. Smith, what does this say about the Panthers?
Well, I think what it says about the Panthers is that everybody recognizes some of the problems that they have. Their offensive line is iffy. You got this kid Gross who retired. You've got this kid Byron Bell who's being moved from right tackle to left tackle. There's some questions on the offensive line, which obviously it gets attached to the ability to protect Cam Newton. That's point number one. Point number two, and the biggest point maybe of all, is that Steve Smith is gone. Veteran there for many, many years, leading receiver. He was released, and ultimately now he's a member of the Baltimore Ravens. You still got Greg Olsen as your tight end, but you've got this kid, Benjamin out of Florida State that they drafted. He's the only guy that's considered to have the potential to be the #1 receiver. Got good size on him, about 6'5", 240 pounds, but he's got good size on him, but that's a lot of pressure to put on a rookie. You got Jason Avant and Jericho Cotchery, who are both crafty veterans, but at the same time, how much are you to really, really expect from those guys? And so when I look at it from that perspective, they got a decent running game, but if you have a iffy offensive line, the running game is going to suffer. The protection of Cam Newton coming off of ankle surgery, left ankle surgery, you don't know what he's going to be able to do. They only want him to run like 8 to 10 times a game, from what I've been told, but at the same time, he might find himself having to run more because he's running for his life because of their inability to protect him. And if you don't have reliable receivers, it's going to make you a bit reticent in throwing the football, which means that the likelihood is that Cam Newton is going to be relying on his legs more than any of us anticipate. And if that happens, it could be problems. We know their defense is elite. It was #2 behind only Seattle, but there's still questions in their secondary. They like the New York Jets, Skip, in the sense that their front seven is lethal, but the back end of their defense is a question mark right now. So the combination of all of those things, considering the division that they're in, leads me to say Carolina. I want to throw the Bengals in there, but the Browns are in their division. So I don't see the Bengals falling that far, okay? I look at the Eagles, the Packers, the Colts. I don't see them falling. But I do look at Carolina and I say Atlanta, New Orleans in the same division could be rough for them. Could be. I'm still holding out because their defense is elite, but it could be.
They are the prohibitive favorite to plummet. When I saw that the other night, I was like, why?
Yeah.
They did take a bunch of hits in their secondary. They lost Drayton Florence and Quentin Michael, Mike Mitchell, Captain Munnerlyn. They added Roman Harper. I'm not sure that's a huge upgrade.
I don't think it is. It's good, but it's not a huge.
Yeah, it's not much. So at the risk of being unfair to Cam, I still think some new responsibility falls on his shoulder pads. He's going to have to take it up one more level to keep them from plummeting. And it's a lot to ask because you make your points about the offensive line and the receivers, though Tom Brady's receivers last year weren't much to write home about.
But he has the system and he has experience.
All right, he has all that. But it's time for Cam maybe to take it up one more level. Just whatever that next level is for Cam that I think he is fully capable of achieving. Last year, he had only one game over 300 yards passing, and that was a 22-6 loss at Arizona. So that a lot of garbage yards in there because he threw 3 picks amid the 300 yards passing. Otherwise, they were 18th in points scored.
Right.
They were 26th in total yards. They were 29th in passing yards. Okay. Despite Kelvin Benjamin, whoever's your #1, you're just going to have to take it up one more level. You're going to have to be a star to keep that team. I'm talking about keeping your head above water. It's going to fall more on the shoulder pads of Cam Newton. And I think you know in your heart of hearts that's the truth. As fair or unfair as it...
Well, it's not that you're wrong, but you did preface your comments by saying at the risk of being unfair. And what I'm saying to you is that you can't sit there and say at the risk of being unfair, then go into that diatribe about Cam, but then bring up Tom Brady. Because he's not Tom Brady. And if you're going to use it from that element...
Well, a lot of people thought he could be.
But what I'm saying is he may still be. Well, you know, we'll see. But when you look at Cam, it's because of his athleticism, his ability to move, be mobile, but also his strength, his body, and his ability to throw the ball downfield. But this kid, he lost Ted Ginn. He lost Steve Smith.
Yeah.
He lost Brandon LaFell. Even though LaFell wasn't big time, the fact is you were familiar with him. He had been there for years. And so
guess who got him? Tom Brady.
That's right. Tom Brady's got him. But listen, one of the things that I paid attention to, and if I'm unfair with this, just let me know. I remember when Ocho Cinco went to New England. And I remember one of the things that was brought up at that particular time more than any other time before was how complicated the system in New England is and how it isn't for everybody. And so all of a sudden you see the Edelmans of the world, so succeed, a Wes Welker, stuff like that. You see the Tompkins and others, show up, and you say, okay, well, this system is not easily absorbed, but those who do absorb it get it. And obviously, Tom Brady can throw the football. So unless I'm looking at Cam and I say he can't throw the football, then I'm going to look at it and say, all right, we know he can throw the football. Now, what is Ron Rivera doing with the system? He's Riverboat Ron now. He's the chance. He's the gambler now. But before, he was too stoic. He was too rigid. He wasn't willing to be innovative enough. That was the knock against him until his job was on the line last year. So now I'm looking at Ron Rivera, and I'm like, okay, you showed up and you deserve to keep your job. You did a hell of a job last year. But now what are you going to do? Because Cam Newton didn't ask for these losses. He's coming off of ankle surgery. Not only does he have to show that he's healthy, but you're going to take some of his primary weapons away from him. The only weapon that he has that he had last year basically was Greg Olsen. That's it. How you going to do that?
Some Steve Smith. I mean, you get some pieces.
I'm just saying, you got to show, you've got to give him the pieces and the system to work with.